The power goes out. James stares at his laptop screen, now black and corrupted. The project that determined his future vanished. His heart is hammered. Palms slick with sweat, his fingers tremble as he reaches for his phone, searching desperately for a backup. Nothing. His mind spirals toward panic, and for a moment, he surrenders to it. Then something clicks. He seizes a pen. He starts to capture everything from memory. Key points, core arguments, framework details. He is familiar with it all. He's been working on it for ages now. By dawn, he had rebuilt the entire project from scratch. James didn't just recover his work. He conquered his own worst instincts. Because when disaster strikes, most people freeze. They fixate on what's lost, on circumstances beyond their control. But those who thrive, they've trained their minds to pivot instantly toward solutions. Master this shift and you'll never face challenges the same way again. Insight number 1. Our brain naturally looks for threats, not answers. It spots what's wrong before seeing what's possible. That's why many people get stuck. The first time Claire entered a courtroom, imposter syndrome struck her. Years of preparation, outperforming peers, acing exams, proving herself repeatedly. Yet, stepping up to present her case, her brain had one mission: to identify every possible scenario of failure. What if I forget my argument? What if the jury dismisses me? What if I humiliate myself, she thought. Claire's thinking is not logical, not helpful, but automatic. Millennia ago, this instinct meant survival. Our ancestors didn't need solutions, they needed threat detection and instantaneous reaction. A rustle in the bushes meant a potential predator. Movement in the shadows meant a possible enemy. The unknown always meant danger. That same ancient survival mechanism operates in us today, but instead of protecting us, it freezes us in self-doubt. As Claire stood before the jury, the fears still whispered, but instead of fixating on them, she asked herself, what does this jury need to hear right now? Her focus shifted, from her insecurities to their needs, from internal threats to external solutions. Her voice steadied, her arguments crystallized. She connected with each juror one by one. When the verdict came back in her favor, Claire realized something profound. Her fears hadn't vanished. She had simply learned to look beyond them. Claire won her first case, not because she conquered fear, but because she moved forward, despite it. Survival thinking traps you in fear. Solution thinking pushes you forward. And that transformation begins with a single question. Insight number 2. The questions you ask yourself control what your mind discovers. Ask better questions, get better answers. Chris stares at his email. His biggest client just turned away, 6 months of work down the drain. His stomach turns, mind spiraling. His first instinct, why does this always happen to me? Each thought lowers his mood. His brain supplies evidence, past failures, previous disappointments, patterns of setbacks. Then he catches himself. His mentor's advice hits him. Your questions shape your reality. Ask why you're failing, and your brain will show you every failure in great detail. Ask what's possible, and it'll show you that instead. As opposed to stressing about why the client left, Chris forced himself to ask, what opportunity does this create? Initially absurd, then transformation. He realized losing this client freed up resources for superior contracts, better compensation, less drain on his energy. 2 days later, Chris had reached out to 5 prospects. 2 weeks go by and Chris sealed 2 new deals. Same setback, different responses, different outcome entirely. When doors close, most fixate so long they miss the other doors swinging open. Insight number 3. Most wait for motivation to drive them, but the fastest path to momentum is taking the smallest possible action immediately. Maya faces a blank document, the cursor pulsing, mockingly. She's facing a crucial business proposal and one that could secure her company's future. But instead of typing, she sits, thinking, overthinking. It's a tall task. She really doesn't want to do this right now. She's convinced herself that she needs perfect planning. The ideal opening line: more preparation for the body. Days evaporate, the deadline looms, more thought, less action. In frustration, she mutters, "Just write one sentence." So she does, then another and another. 2 hours later, half finished. Next morning, complete. Maya stopped waiting for motivation and ideal conditions. Maya stopped overanalyzing the project. She took the smallest possible action that generated momentum. This is how all progress works. Small actions circumvent your brain's resistance, and one step is sufficient to break any negative cycle. Insight number 4. Elite achievers don't waste energy being right. They focus on the momentum they already have. They ask, what's next? It's another argument, at least that's what Devin told himself. He's had countless disputes with his business partner. A company built together, yet every decision is a battle of egos. After another heated exchange, Devin vents to a mentor, expecting validation. Instead, the mentor asks him, "Do you want to be right or do you want to move forward?" Devin stops. At that moment, a realization strikes. He was never trying to solve problems. He was trying to win arguments. The next day, he approached his partner differently. Devin released his need for rightness and narrowed his attention on advancing the company. Everything transformed from there. The relationship was better for it. High performers don't battle reality. They find ways to maneuver reality. In that shift, they reclaim control and take power back. In closing, many wait for problems to resolve on their own. Most dwell on life's unfairness. Many let setbacks define them, but you don't. Train yourself to hunt for opportunities instead of worrying about obstacles. Break paralysis with a single, small action. Master this. You don't just solve problems, you eliminate them before they control you. Drop a way you'll be applying these lessons in your life in the comments. Let's frame it together. If this helped you in any way, next week's video will reveal the exact strategy that bridges the gap between wishful thinking and tangible results. So you're not just imagining a better future, you're actively creating it. This is the one you won't want to miss.